Subscribe, hype, like, click the notification bell and turn on all notifications. And donate with a super thanks donation in the comments section below for the unfiltered, unapologetic SeanzViewEnt, your home for WWE news, rumors, and backstage chaos. This is where gossip gets exposed around the clock. Now, here's your host, the brash SeanzViewEnt.
How does that happen? How does that even occur, viewers, fans, and subscribers? Oba Femi gets the biggest win of his career at WrestleMania over Brock Lesnar. And how do they follow that up? What kind of creative juices, what kind of angle, what kind of storyline do they put Oba Femi in? Well, let's see how meaningless we can make this an open challenge. And then how are we going to follow up the meaningless, uncreative open challenge? Well, maybe we feature him at Backlash. Maybe we put him in a prominent story. Maybe we put him in a huge blockbuster match. Maybe something that gets people on the edge of their seats. But no, instead, Oba Femi is not even good enough for Backlash. Oba Femi is not even on a match. Oba Femi is not even on the card for Backlash. That is how you follow up WrestleMania? That is how you make this man feel special. That is the aura you put behind him. Now you wonder why the headline and the title of the video is just what you see here. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to SeanzViewEnt, your home for WWE news, rumors, speculation, and gossip in the tabloid lane. Everything you're about to hear is speculation and entertainment. We're connecting dots, reading the room, having fun with it. That's what we do here. Remember to become a channel member, hype up the video, like the video. Now let's talk about the story that is hiding in plain sight, because I think WWE may have quietly fumbled one of the hottest new stars they have had in years. And now, is there some creative frustration? Is there some backlash from Oba Femi? And does he have every right to be like this? Because here's a man in Oba Femi who was made to look dominant, determined. The man that you're building up as the future of your company wins at WrestleMania, retires Brock Lesnar in about 5 minutes. Not to be featured on Backlash, okay? When Oba Femi vacated the NXT Championship in January and came to the main roster, WWE wasn't subtle about what they had in mind for him. WrestleVotes reported on Fightful Select that Femi was set for, quote, big things on Raw, and not just big things, that he would be positioned near the top of the card. That's not mid-card language. That is main event language, okay? Fightful added that his presence had impressed people throughout the company, and they view him as, quote, a major piece of not only today, but the future is now. Not just the future, but the now of WWE. The now, not the future, the now of WWE. But he's so now that he wasn't at Backlash. Can you see why there may be frustration? Why there may be some madness on Oba Femi? Oba Femi has every right, if this is indeed true, if this is indeed fact, if there's any oh, guys, I'm thinking about this. It really does rub you the wrong way. It kind of does ruffle your feathers, as the WWE already dropped the ball with one Oba Femi. Well, here's the plan that got scrapped before Oba Femi left NXT, and once you hear it, the whole picture starts to make sense. Here's something that didn't get nearly enough attention when it actually came out. Corey Hayes of Body Slam reported that there was an original plan in place for Javon Evans to beat Oba Femi for the NXT Championship. Evans dethroned Femi. Femi leaves on a loss and then gets rebuilt on the main roster from the ground up. That plan got scrapped. It got canceled. The WWE pivoted. Had Femi vacate the title instead of drop it because, as Sean Ross Sapp reported, those controlling his creative on the main roster, quote, didn't want him taking another loss. They wanted to protect Oba Femi. So, now in the service, that sounds like they were protecting him, and maybe they were. But here's the other way to look at it. That pivot going from a clean title loss to a quiet vacate tells you that the main roster creative has already involved in Femi's story before he even arrived. Again, the main roster creative team was already involved. Okay, they were shaping how he landed. And Shawn Michaels himself said he wanted Evans in NXT for another 6 months. That plan got overruled. So right from the jump, plans were already changing around for Oba Femi. The question is whether those changes were upgrades or the beginning of a problem. Because what happened after WrestleMania is where the story really starts to fall apart. And there's one name that makes it impossible to ignore. Let's talk about it real quick. Let's go over this because this is huge to the report, to the rumor, to the gossip, to the speculation, to the guesswork. Remember, for more videos like this, hype, like, subscribe for multiple videos a day. And how are you watching SeanzView tonight? On a computer, a laptop, a desktop, a TV, an iPhone? How are you watching me? Maybe on a tablet? The moment was supposed to launch Femi into the stratosphere after his win over Brock Lesnar, okay? Lesnar, 54 years old, multiple world championships, one of the most physically dominant performers in WWE history, just retired, gone, because Femi was too much for him. The moment, again, was supposed to latch him into the stratosphere. And then nothing. No immediate feud announced, no title shot, no marquee opponent. Instead, Femi shows up on Raw, beats Grayson Waller in just over a minute, and then he announces an open challenge. Then he faces Otis. Otis, who is a beloved performer, but nobody's idea of the next challenger for the guy who just retired, Brock Lesnar. And then the open challenge, well, just kept going week after week. No meaningful payoff, no direction, just Oba walking out, squashing whoever answered, and walking to the back. Sportscadia ran a piece this week with a headline that said exactly what a lot of fans were feeling. 3 signs that WWE has a major Oba Femi problem. The problem, nobody credible to put against him. And instead of building that opponent, WWE defaulted to filler. And then a Hall of Famer spoke up and said something that should have set off an alarm inside Titan Towers, but I'm not sure anyone listened. And this wasn't gentle. It was told by the Toronto Sun that Femi needs to start learning when to push back on creative ideas that could weaken his character. It was made crystal clear that saying no isn't about being difficult. It's about protecting what took years to build. The exact advice was this: stay flexible, but don't let them force something that doesn't feel right. Now, when a Hall of Famer goes on record like Mark Henry and to tell a rising star to push back against WWE creative, that's not a random quote. That's someone who's been around long enough to recognize patterns. Now, we're not saying Femi is being buried on purpose, but he is saying the system around Femi right now could damage something real if nobody pumps the brakes. And the timing of that quote, the week of Backlash, when Femi wasn't even on the card for Backlash last night on ESPN, hits very differently than it would have any other week. So now here's where I'm going to give you, how does this story actually go? Where does this story go? Well, what will be the response from the game? Triple H, the reaction from Triple H, the game. The cerebral assassin, he's that damn good, but can he come up with something that damn good for Oba Femi besides an open challenge? I think the original plan for Oba Femi post-WrestleMania involved a feud that fell through. Whether that was a returning star, an injury, a contract situation, or a creative pivot, something that was supposed to be his next chapter didn't align, didn't happen. And instead of rebuilding the roadmap fast, WWE defaulted to the open challenge format to keep him on television without committing to anything. That's not unusual for WWE. It happens more than fans realize, but when you've just retired Brock Lesnar, the margin for error is basically zero, because every week that goes without a real opponent, that WrestleMania moment gets a little colder. It kind of gets lost. The good news, well, it's not too late. There are names on that roster that could work. The John Cena Classic gives him a stage. Clash in Italy is coming. King of the Ring speculation has his name in it. But WWE needs to move, and they need to move fast before this becomes a big blunder from down under. And because you don't retire Brock Lesnar and then disappear into open challenge purgatory. Oba Femi is too good for that, and deep down, I think the WWE knows it. Now that's, ladies and gentlemen, what I got for you today. All speculation, all entertainment, connecting the dots on a story that I think deserves a lot more attention than it is getting. Do you think that the WWE has a real Oba Femi problem? Drop it in the comment section. I want to hear your take. Hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and remember, we drop videos multiple times a day because we truly do believe in the viewers, the fans, and the subscribers that make this show what it is. Has the WWE already fumbled? Does the WWE not know what to do with an Oba Femi? What about the creative and the open challenge? Do you think there should have been something served up hotter, something bigger, something better for Oba Femi? Or do you think that this is the start of something spectacular? Your thoughts, your comments, your opinions, your motives. Because here on SeanzView, we drill you with the latest, the greatest in WWE news, rumors, gossip, and speculation. Because SeanzViewEnt knows that this is your premier destination. But is the destination for Oba Femi not as clear, not as evident as we all thought it was going to be? Is there already worry? Is there already a little rattle for Oba Femi in the WWE? Has the WWE run out of ideas? Are they creatively bankrupt for Oba Femi? Again, I said on X, I said on Twitter right now, I said it last night. How can you have a Backlash without an Oba Femi? How can you have a Backlash PLE without a CM Punk? But that is exactly what the WWE did last night. Unbelievable. Subscribe.